حدث مفضع وخطب جرير دق عن مثله استبار الصبور قام نعي العلوم أجمع لما قام نعي محمد بن جرير.
Ibn Jarir tells of a time when he first entered Baghdad and someone had stolen his money, the money that his father had given him to use in his travels, and he was forced to cut the hood of his shirt and sell it so that he may have some money to spend on food. Al-Farghani tells of how he supported himself soon after this event. Some of his companions had told him to become a tutor for the son of the minister Abul Hasan Yahya ibn Khaqan. Abu Ja'far agreed, and his friend went to the minister and recommended Ibn Jarir to tutor his son. He was paid a simple amount of about 10 dinar a month to be a tutor. However, Ibn Jarir negotiated a condition that he would have time for talib al-ilm, to seek knowledge, and to pray and to rest. And he also required that he would be provided for the month, and Ibn Khaqan agreed. Ibn Jarir took the boy, Abu Yahya, and taught him how to write on a board within that 1 month. They were so pleased with Ibn Jarir that they took him into their household. They were excited to have Ibn Jarir with them, so that he could teach the family and the servants how to write. There wasn't a single servant girl in that household that did not give Ibn Jarir a pouch full of dinar and dirhams as a gift in gratitude. However, Ibn Jarir refused to accept it because he had an agreement for a specified amount, and he would not accept anything except that specific amount of 10 dinar for the month. The minister had learnt of this, and he took Ibn Jarir aside and he apologized profusely. He looked at Ibn Jarir with such fondness and respect. During the reign of Al-Mutawakkil, the minister at the time, Yahya ibn Khaqan, had sent Abu Ja'far a lot of money as a gift. He refused to accept it, of course. Then he was offered a position as a judge, and he refused to accept it. His friends and students hassled him to accept the position as a judge, telling him that you will be greatly rewarded for this. You can revive the Sunnah and defend the oppressed. However, he still refused and rebuked them, saying, I think that if I were to desire this position, you would advise me against taking it. They did not bother him again after his reply. Now remember, this all happened before Ibn Jarir had reached 30 years of age. The great linguist and grammarian Abu al-Abbas Ahmad ibn Yahya Tha'lab al-Kufi considered Ibn Jarir to be a master of the Arabic language. When Ibn Jarir first entered Kufa, he studied Arabic poetry with Abu al-Abbas Tha'lab. Tha'lab al-Kufi was known to be rather austere. He rarely praised others, and he did not testify about the level of others when it came to their knowledge of the Arabic language. Abu Bakr ibn Mujahid mentioned that Abu al-Abbas Tha'lab once said to him, Is there anyone remaining in eastern Baghdad that is a grammarian? Ibn Mujahid replied, There is no one left. All the shuyukh have died. He said, Until your area has no one left? So Ibn Mujahid replied to him, Yes, except for the faqih, At-Tabari. Tha'lab then replied, He is perspicuous in the madhab of the Kufiyin, meaning he was well versed in the school of grammar of the people of Kufa. Tha'lab rarely praised people when it came to their ability in Nahu, or Arabic grammar. So this says a lot about Ibn Jarir's mastery of the Arabic language. After spending some time in Iraq studying, Ibn Jarir traveled to Ash-Sham, the Levant, and when he was in Beirut, he learned the recitations of the people of Sham from the Imam, the Muqri, Al-Abbas ibn al-Walid al-Bayruti. In the year 253 Hijri, when he was 29 years old, he traveled to Egypt and soon after returned back to Ash-Sham, only to later return to Egypt after 3 years. When he entered Al-Qahira, Cairo, he studied the fiqh of Imam Shafi'i from the students of Imam Shafi'i, specifically Al-Rabi' ibn Sulaiman al-Muradi, Ismail ibn Ibrahim al-Muzani, and Yunus ibn Abd al-A'la al-Sadafi. He stayed in a small house next to his sheikh, Al-Rabi' ibn Sulaiman, at his request. Some of the students of Al-Rabi' visited Ibn Jarir and found his room to be barren. They told him that he needed a qasriya, a zir, and himarain, and a sudda. Ibn Jarir replied to them, I don't need the qasriya, which is a tub that was used to wash children and babies, because I don't have a child, and I have not undone my pants to commit anything haram or partake in halal ever, meaning that he had never married nor fornicated. Then he said, as for az-zir, then it is from the idle entertainment, and I have nothing to do with that. So here this means the az-zir it's a musical instrument, and he's saying that he has nothing to do with musical instruments. As for the himarain, meaning the two donkeys, then my father has left me provisions, and I use it to aid me in seeking knowledge. If I use it to purchase these two donkeys, then how will I seek knowledge? So the students smiled, because they realized that he understood what they said to mean something different. Then he said, how much is required to pay for all this? And they said, 2 dirhams and 2/3. So Ibn Jarir gave them that amount, and that's when he realized that the words that they used had alternative meanings, because they brought him a bowl and a container for water. They're used to wash clothes, and a jug, which was a zir, and 4 pieces of wood to elevate the mattress off the floor to make a bed. And they said to him, the zir is for water, the qasriya is for bread, the himarain and the sudda are for you to sleep on to avoid being bitten by the fleas. This is all that Ibn Jarir At-Tabari had in his house, which he stayed in while seeking knowledge in Egypt. And he felt that he needed nothing but the shelter of his house. While he was in Egypt, he also studied the fiqh of Imam Malik from the students of Abdullah ibn Wahab al-Qurashi, one of the students of Imam Dar al Malik ibn Anas. He also studied history along with the madhab of Imam Malik while he was in Egypt from the famous historian Muhammad ibn Abdul Hakam. Muhammad ibn Abdul Hakam is the famous Imam that stood firm in Egypt during the fitna of Khalq al-Quran, or the creation of the Quran. While in Egypt, he learned qira'at from Sulaiman ibn Abdurrahman ibn Khallad al-Talhi, and he had learned language and grammar from Ali ibn Siraj al-Misri, who was so impressed by Ibn Jarir's memorization when he witnessed that Ibn Jarir memorized the poetry of Ibn al-Tarimmah when no one else in Egypt had memorized it. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi tells of an interesting story about one of his trips to Egypt, where he encountered Muhammad ibn Khuzaymah, the author of Kitab al-Tawheed, and Muhammad ibn Nasr al-Marwazi, the author of the Musnad, and Muhammad ibn Harun al-Ruyani, who was the author of also al-Musnad. And they had met each other in Egypt, and they had all exhausted their money and had nothing remaining to purchase any food. So they gathered in the home where they were residing in Egypt, and all of them were hungry. The pain of the hunger began to set in when they decided that one of them would have to go out and ask for food. Allah had decreed that it would be Ibn Khuzaymah who would go out and ask for food. So he said to his companions, allow me some time to pray 2 rak'at to consult, meaning Salat al-Istikhara. As soon as he finished praying, there was a knock on the door. They opened the door and found that it was a messenger from the governor of Egypt. He said, who here is Muhammad ibn Nasr? So they said, it's him, while pointing to Muhammad ibn Nasr al-Marwazi. The messenger pulled out a bag of coins with 50 dirhams and gave it to him. Then he said, who is Muhammad ibn Jarir? And then he gave him 50 dinars. The same was done for al-Ruyani and Ibn Khuzaymah. So they were all stunned. But before anyone could say anything, the messenger explained. The governor was taking his qaylula yesterday, meaning his midday nap, and he saw in his dream that the Muhammads were hungry, and that he should give them something to satisfy their hunger. So he gave me this bag and said, to find you all and divide it among you.
يا أبا جعفر مويت حميدا غير وان في الجد والتشمير بين أجر على اجتهاد موفور وسعي إلى التقى مشكور